we have now ROG Ally reviews up and running, and we also have a release date for the handheld. It's going to be released on June 13th. And I've already got my pre-order in here, but there's a couple of things I wanted to talk about. Last time we had talked about the ROG Ally, it was really very little information given out at that time. It was really just announced, and I think only like 2 YouTubers really had access to the handheld before, later on things just started to trickle in as far as other outlets were able to kind of give us like some preview / feedback about it. And well, as of last week of this recording, everyone kind of knows what's going on. But this video isn't about me regurgitating every single little bit of information, but there's something y'all should know, and I think it's very important to know. With what the ROG Ally promises, essentially this is Xbox's unofficial handheld. Now granted though, we are talking about Xbox Game Pass for PC and not just the entirety of Game Pass, because you have to remember there's console and then there's also PC. In addition, we're not just talking about Xbox either, we're also talking about your Steam library. And I've been building up a whole library for Ys and the Legend of Heroes games, so that's come with me portably. That's great. And if you vibe with Epic Games, or you use that in tandem, you can use that too. And of course emulation is the thing that you can do as well, but personally I'm not going to be covering that kind of stuff. Now about the handheld specifically, there are a couple things I do want to point out again, which is super exciting for me when hearing about this thing. Now, of course, there is the 120 hertz refresh rate, and I'm going to say, for whatever games can support that, that's great. That's awesome. Otherwise, 1080p is also solid too. There's also the fact that this guy is dockable, which of course that means, yeah, it's very close to the Nintendo Switch, and the more you're like this, the more I'll love you for it. When you combine that with one of the accessories, which is of course sold separately, it's also known as the ROG Gaming Charger Dock. Essentially, you can use that as an actual desktop. There's an HDMI out. There's another place for you to put a USB cord or receiver for any devices you want to connect it with, and of course the actual charger thing itself. I have some ideas to bring back the Nreal Air and connect that with that, and I'll let you know how that feels. Although the Nreal will kind of sacrifice the potential 120 hertz, but otherwise, essentially, I can really have a little bit more freedom depending on how the connectivity is going to work. When you put that at a price point of 700, I guess for the extreme, there's 2 different tiers, and only the higher tiers available now, and then later on there's gonna be a cheaper model for it that'll be, I think, $600. Yeah, I would say with all that, I think this is pretty worth it, except for the battery life. Surprise, surprise. That was one of the issues and concerns that I had about what this thing could promise, and they were saying it was going to be competitive. I guess to their credit, Steam Deck doesn't really run for a long time with games, although it does also vary too, which is why I believe that's why they pair it up with with their quiet silent mode being 6.8 hours of Netflix and YouTube related type of tasks, So I think it also will vary, because 2 hours it seems to be kind of the extreme when it comes to the quote-unquote heavy-duty gaming and using that performance mode. But of course everyone's playstyles will be different. You'll be able to change settings here and there, so it won't always just be 2 hours for every single game, for sure. It's going to vary on the title that you're playing and the settings you have for that game, because we're talking about $700 and more than your higher end gaming consoles being with the Series X or the PlayStation 5. It's cheaper than a high tier gaming rig, and at the same time this also functions as a computer because it does run Windows 11. So yeah, just a lot of things to consider for sure. But what do you guys think? Would you be down to try out the ROG Ally? Are you sold on ROG Ally? Do you have a Steam Deck? Or you're considering to buy a Steam Deck over this one, and this is going to determine whether or not you would actually get it. I'd also bring in the question, would you also consider using it as a mainline PC, as far as just doing some minimal tasks here and there? You can do a little bit of light editing, whether it be for video, would it be for photos. I think that's pretty much everything I wanted to really bring up initially. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. So when we do receive that in the mail, we will definitely test it out and let y'all know how it feels. Guys, thank you guys so much for watching, and if you would, please subscribe to the Tanuki channel. We're actually not too far off from 100 followers at the time of this recording, so it's kind of exciting. We only got this started and off the ground at the beginning of April. So, I mean, we're like halfway through May, and we're actually making some pretty good progress. So it's great. But for now, we'll go ahead and call it here. Thank you guys again so much for watching, and I hope to see everybody in the next one. So take care, everybody.